right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Stanley war happy. Wir haben das Ziel erfüllt, glaube ich. Oder? Beat the Game. Errungenschaft freigeschaltet. Und wir fangen wieder von vorne an. Meine Güte, gibt's da noch so viele Wege?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ja gut, viele Wege gab's aber nicht mehr.
When Stanley came to a set of
Wir können
two
jetzt halt
open,
wieder durch
this
die
was
Rechte
not the
gehen.
correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he
Oh,
wanted
wir
to
können
stop
uns den
by the
Pausenraum
employee
bewundern
lounge
gehen.
first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first, but eager
So,
to
dann
get back to
werden wir
business,
eventuell
Stanley
gezwungen,
took
halt
the
links zu gehen
first
oder
open door
geradeaus.
on
Da
his
waren wir ja
left.
eben schon gewesen.
And so he detoured through
Waren
the
wir
maintenance
da
section,
schon geradeaus
walked
gegangen?
straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Da waren wir noch, glaub noch nicht. Oder?
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Ah, wir können noch
Coming to
runtergehen.
a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ja. Machen wir aber nicht.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had
Oh
he
Gott, der
taken that
quasselt
risk?
echt so
All
viel.
because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why
lauf schon
couldn't he
wieder im
see
Kreis.
his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went?
Ja, wer
And for
schließt die
that
denn
matter,
bitte?
these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar.
Ja,
Were
sie
they
wiederholten
simply
sich.
repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream.
Das ist kein Traum,
What a
Stanley.
relief
Glaubt ihr
Stanley
nicht?
felt to have finally found an
Wir müssen irgendwie
answer,
hier
an
rauskommen.
explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space
kann
on a
nicht fliegen.
magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered
Okay, wir träumen
Stanley's
jetzt
head.
natürlich.
One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd, and wondered if this voice spoke to all people...
Wir laufen immer noch im Kreis. Jetzt hör auf zu
Of
quasseln.
course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself? Believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the
Irgendwie,
voice not
ich
see him
werd gleich
float and
verrückt.
make the magical stars just
Ich kann
a
schon
moment
gar nichts
ago?
mehr sagen,
How
weil
else would the
ich
voice
einfach nur
explain all
im
that?
Kreis lauf.
This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up.
Okay.
He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back.
Wenn der nicht alles so detailliert immer erklären würde, wäre das alles schön und gut.
he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Okay. Und wir starten... Oh, nicht im Büro. Wir können weitergehen.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an
Es geht
office.
nicht weiter.
I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Und alles wurde schwarz. Und jetzt starten wir im Büro. 100%.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Was?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension,
Okay, sind
the
wir jetzt
rest of
tot?
her life.
Also
She had no
endgültig?
time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Okay, sie ruft uns keinen Krankenwagen. Wie nett. Danke. So, wir starten wieder hier im Büro. Aber das möchte
All
ich
of
euch
his
jetzt alles
co-workers
ersparen.
were gone. What could it mean?
Ihr habt den Sinn, denke ich,
Stanley
verstanden.
decided to
Und
go to the meeting room.
ist echt ein witziges
Perhaps he
Spiel,
had
finde ich.
simply missed a memo.
Vor allem, weil da kann man so viel rausfinden noch. Und ach, das alles jetzt aufzunehmen, dass wir könnten ins Unendliche gehen. Wir könnten, was weiß ich, 5 Folgen lang nur das ein und selber aufnehmen, weil wir nicht mehr wissen, wo wir lang müssen oder sonst irgendwas.
When Stanley came to a set of
Ja.
2 open doors, he entered the door.
Okay, ich
on
würde
his
sagen, bei
left.
den 2 Türen entscheide ich mich für die Tür und zwar nicht mehr aufzunehmen, weil das geht ins Unendliche, tut mir leid. Aber danke, dass ihr euch das Video angeschaut habt, also das Game, besser gesagt die Videos. Es ist echt, wie gesagt, es verwirrt einen. Man muss auf dem Computer hören, tut man es nicht, lässt er dich neu starten. Man ist echt schon manipuliert, man ist am Ende echt so weit, dass man das tun muss, was er sagt. Und dann sieht man ja, geht es trotzdem nicht weiter. Okay, ich wünsche euch was und bis zu meinem nächsten Let's Play. Euer Alpha Kevin.